Mr. Rodman slams his desk. He makes direct eye contact with me. He's peering into the depths of my soul. He gets up. I step on my phone. Hey! Who's... If there's one thing that we all have in common, it's that no matter how good of a student you are, you're gonna cheat or you've cheated before. But I am absolutely appalled that you would dare make that assumption. Hey, don't lie to me. Shh. I know you've done it, okay? I mean, unless you're like a gifted natural genius who's in like senior AP college level classes as a teenager. In that case, drugs. You do drugs. But we all cheat or have cheated in school, at least at the high school level. And bro, I'm no exception to that, okay? I was a perfect angel in school. But even people like me, perfect people, have cheated in school. My mom was one of those moms who always checked their kids' grades like on the school report card app thing because she loved me and cared about my education. I'm sure if I didn't do good on a test or if my grades weren't up to par, I'm 100% positive that she would just take me, sit me down, grab my textbook, and shove it down my freaking throat, just in there, 3 hits, pow, pow, pow. You're gonna get this knowledge one way or another. Yeah, if you were living with my mom, you definitely had A's and B's. The Flash. I remember the night before I had this English test that I just knew for a fact I wasn't prepared for. And I also knew that spending hours in my textbook looking over the material so I can pass the test and further digest the information internally so I can use it later in life, aka studying, would just not be as effective as spending even more hours trying to find the questions and answers to the test early and writing the questions down somewhere discreet in order to use it on the test, only to forget the information the next day, therefore rendering my entire education useless, aka cheating. And I also knew I didn't want a textbook shoved halfway down my esophagus, so I decided to cheat on this upcoming test. My task was to somehow find a way to get access to the questions on the test. Luckily for me, I had a friend who had taken the test the day before me, but since he had failed, he had to retake the test, and that means he already had his graded paper. A paper which I grabbed with the absolute swiftness, okay? Hey, you can't get mad at me, okay? You know the saying, the second rat always gets the cheese. So I expeditiously take this paper home. The plan was to cram all 80 questions of the test onto a small index card just so I can have it under my paper as I took the test. Simple enough. Yeah, simple enough. Yeah, simple enough. Simple enough. After spending hours of giving myself arthritis attempting to cram all 80 of these questions onto this small index card, I was done and I was hyped for this test, man. I could practically taste the A+ grade. So I'm actually gassed to go to school the next day. I set my alarm clock and the alarm on my phone to 6 a.m. on the dot. I even do the thing where you turn the volume all the way up on your phone and play like 1 second of a random video, just to make sure your phone volume's up all the way. I was not going to be late to school. So I go to sleep, I get up the next day, I head to class, and the papers are handed to us. I look around and I see all the fatigue and stress on the faces of my fellow classmates. This was a pretty big test, so I'm sure everyone spent hours and hours awake last night, and couldn't be me, man. Imagine doing schoolwork at 3 a.m. What freaking nerds. I look at my test, I grin, I grab my cheat sheet out of my pocket, and I am absolutely focused. I'm so zoned in fact, that I see red. Not red as in laser focus, oh no. I mean red as in the big, fat F that's gonna be on my test paper, because the test that I had was completely different than the one that my friend gave me. I'm practically figuring out different ways to roll up my textbook so I don't choke on page 7 of Lord of the Flies when my mom shoves it into my trachea. But in a desperate attempt to save my GPA, and more importantly, my freaking windpipe, I type in one of the test questions onto Google on my phone. And I am blessed to find a Quizlet with all the answers of the test, word for word, bar for bar. So I am saved. I take my phone out, I put it in my book bag, but before I could even start the test, I've realized something. I never turned down my phone volume after I turned it all the way up for my alarm this morning. If I get one notification, it's a wrap. My forehead is covered in sweat. I look down at the ticking time bomb that is in my book bag. Now I'm just so worried that my phone's going to go off from a notification, which, as the goofy simp that I was in high school, it definitely wasn't. But in the moment, I'm so worried about my phone going off that I forgot which side of my phone had the volume button. So I press and hold on the right side of my phone and Siri goes off, and immediately the teacher looks up, but he can't quite pinpoint where the sound is coming from. So I just, let me just answer right here. Oh yeah, number 3, I'm on that. And pretend I actually know what I'm doing until he looks away. I'm safe, but I have zero room for error. My threat level is definitely in the yellow. But I'm already in pretty deep, so I keep going. But this time, instead of having my phone in my book bag, I put on my hoodie and put my phone inside said hoodie, along with my left arm, so when I need to see my phone, all I need to do is look down. I get to this fill in the blank section, so I place my phone on my lap to fill the answer, and then my phone falls on the ground. There is a certain sound a phone makes when it hits the ground that makes it undeniably obvious that it's a phone. Maybe if this was a math class, I could have capped and said I dropped my calculator, but the only thing that I need to calculate is the width of my jaw compared to my textbook. I'm gonna keep doubling down on this textbook joke, aren't I? Dude, we get it. You don't need to keep shoving it down our throats. Hey. Nice. So my phone falls and just begins doing trapeze flips on the ground with perfect form, mind you. Each fall just gave it more momentum to spin even longer and just to make so much noise. Oh, okay, it had no reason at all to be falling for this long. It was just so loud and drawn out. But now Mr. Rodman, that's the name I'm giving him, now he knows that it came from my table. He gets up. I step on my phone. Hey! Whose phone was that? He's asking the table, but he's staring bullets at me. He looks at the girl who's sitting next to me, who very obviously knows by now that I'm cheating or attempting to cheat. He looks at her with absolute death in his eyes. Whose phone was that? She looks at him. She looks at me. I know that she knows. She then turns and says, "Oh, actually, I was just paying attention to my test. I really don't know. I'm sorry." He grunts and sits down. Threat level red. I'm standing on my phone at this point, but when I tell you my mom is going to kill me if I don't pass this test, I mean that. So I have no choice but to continue cheating. Or you could have studied. There's no turning back, so I drop my pencil, I pick up my phone, and continue taking my test. I scroll to the next question on my phone, and time itself stands still. Out of nowhere, you can visibly see the tension in the room, and it's coming from my direction. At this point, everyone in the classroom is staring directly at me. The girl who had just stuck her neck out for me is now looking into my eyes with so much disappointment and despair. Why? Well, I guess when my phone dropped, the ringer flipped on, because when I scrolled to that next question,
whom does Lady Macbeth frame for the murder of Duncan?
The freaking text-to-speech goes off. Mr. Rodman slams his desk. He makes direct eye contact with me. He's peering into the depths of my soul. I know that he knows. Literally, everyone knows. Everyone knows. Only the right side of the classroom knows. Everyone knows. But before he can even say anything, the assistant principal walks in the room. The assistant principal. My life's over. My life's over. I'm going to die here. I am done. If they call my mom, I will definitely be digesting Chapter 7 of The Great Gatsby. I'm sure of it. Mr. Rodman looks into my eyes for another bone-chilling 5 seconds and sits down. We had just got a new assistant principal, and I guess he was observing the class, and it wouldn't really be beneficial for either of us if the assistant principal's first impression of both of us was a cheating scandal. So yeah, I bombed the test that day. I'm talking no more than a 13. I only answered like 3 out of the 80 questions. I promise you I had absolutely no clue what was going on in that class. I guess since I got such a bad grade on the test, Mr. Rodman figured that that was punishment enough, so the cheating thing was never brought up again, but the hammer of wrath from my mom when she saw my grade was definitely brought down.